Hello and welcome to this review of my Focus FK-2002. This is a rare ISO version of the otherwise much more ubiquitous Focus 2001, and apart from the layout differences, they're superficially the same, so this can be considered a review of the 2001 as well, especially since I'll be covering that keyboard in this review too. Now, there are some production differences between the two, but I'll come back to them in a second. Anyway, this keyboard is interesting because Focus were rather, let's say, enthusiastic about their big-ass enters, and as far as I know, this is the only non-big-ass enter model of any keyboard they ever made. Right up until the end, Focus kept putting big-ass enters on their keyboards, and as such it's puzzling to see a keyboard they made without one. Now, this can probably be explained when you dig deeper into their production differences. See, the 2001 was one of Focus's earliest keyboards, starting production in the late 80s, and unlike other models from its generation, it didn't get replaced, so it was in production for very long. As a result, it went through several changes throughout its lifetime. For instance, the original had a 5-pin DIN connector, but this was eventually replaced with a PS2 connector. Second, the layout went through several changes, and eventually they got Windows keys, which the original didn't have. And finally, it originally came with blue Alps switches, but these were soon replaced with white Alps switches, then several types of Alps clones, and some people even reported finding Futaba switches in their keyboards. So all in all, there is a big variety of different 2001s out there. In stark contrast, though, the 2002 only ever seems to have come with this layout, a 5-pin DIN connector, and blue or white Alps switches. And all in all, in combination with its relative rarity compared to the 2001, suggests to me that the 2002 was launched roughly at the same time as the 2001, but simply had a much shorter production run. And this would explain why the 2002 appears so much more uniform than the 2001, as well as why it didn't have a big-ass enter. They simply stopped making other layouts after the 2002. Here's the model sticker of the keyboard. This particular one was made in 1992 in Taiwan, and that makes it one of the more recent 2002s I've heard of. Most I've seen are older than this. It has big, broad flip-out feet, which is fairly typical for Focus, and it has a hole under it that's meant for dip switches on some keyboards, but there are none in this. It has two other dud holes at the back, one which reads inverse and normal, but there's no switch behind it, and frankly I don't know what this is supposed to do, and one for an AT-XT switch, but again there's no switch behind it. It would appear that this case was shared by other boards that did have switches in one or more of these places, and the same thing goes for these things, which I think are fake drill holes, but instead this keyboard is clamped. It's got clips on the top side like that hold it all together, and that means it's not exactly the toughest board I've seen. It has a metal mounting plate, typical of other Alps boards, but the build quality is like other Focus boards. It's okay, but it's not great. The actual position of the AT-XT switch is here underneath this badge. If you press it, you can lift it up, and that's where it has the real switch. The dud hole at the back, like I said, I think is meant for other keyboards. Now, this badge can read a variety of things. Focus put all kinds of things on it, but strangely there's no thing to really keep it in place. It's actually a loose badge. You can quite easily take it out. But when you put it in and push it all the way down to make it flat, it's very hard to get back up again, so I keep it slightly at an angle so I can open it if I want to. Almost all old Focuses have at least one interesting feature, and this one's is a semi-transparent, pretty badass looking red-brown built-in dust cover. It's detachable by pulling it out sideways when it's not fully open or closed. Works like that. It's a very easy system. Because it's so easily detachable and because it's not transparent, most people will take it out and then don't put it back in so as not to block their view of the monitor. So many covers get lost, and most on eBay don't have the cover anymore. In fact, the last generations of 2001 were not even manufactured with the cover at all. Fortunately, this one still has it. It has a few scratches on. You should be able to see that in the light here. Fortunately, the seller must have kept it on a lot because it was quite clean when I got it. It had very little dust in it, which is very good for Alps switches. Alps switches don't really like dust a lot. The clips on the side here can be removed by pulling them horizontally. Sometimes keyboards lack even this bit, but many old come with these clips, but not the cover. It also comes with this plastic strip with the F keys on it. Presumably, you can write on this to remind yourself of certain shortcuts. I know of other Focus keyboards that have this as well, but in a slightly different guise. Somewhat confusingly, the numlock and caps lock lights are reversed, so numlock is in the middle. Because numlock is generally on fairly constantly, when you glance at it, it looks like actually the caps lock light is on, so that takes a little bit of getting used to. The switches in this one are white Alps switches, which is the most common type of clicky Alps switches around. That's what they sound like. They're more tactile than tactile Alps switches, such as black and salmon Alps, and they have a pretty nice noise. I'll show that to you here. They're fairly loud, so not everyone might appreciate this, especially when it's not you using the keyboard. They're great switches overall, though. I love using these. I don't mind using these as daily drivers at all. The keycaps are made out of thin ABS and have double-shot lettering. These keycaps are very typical of Focus. They kept making these for a very, very long time, and they're pretty nice. Again, typical of Focus, they use a lot of colored printing as well. The Alts, Control and Shift keys are colored, as is the Escape key, and the System Request and Break secondary legends are all colored. So overall, it's a fairly colorful keyboard, which is pretty cool. All in all, this is a very nice keyboard. I got this one recently for £5 from someone who lived not too far away, and I'm very satisfied with it. The cable is a bit dodgy. It fails once every few restarts. But otherwise it's in a pretty admirable condition, and it's great to type on and to play games with. Furthermore, it's a very nice looking keyboard in my opinion. I really like the styling, which has something classy about it, and the dust cover makes it look quite professional, I'd say. I definitely recommend these, especially if you can get one with real Alps, which are pretty good. 2001s are usually pretty cheap, between 20 and £30 or so, and they're pretty easy to find because they're fairly common. So if you want one, it's not a lot of time, effort, or money off your hands. The 2002 is much rarer and possibly more expensive though, so if you want one of these specifically, you might have to search a little bit longer. Anyway, that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And here is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.